this is Major Minor. We're going to do a video of our top college movies. Please subscribe if you're a college student and you can relate to this, or follow us on majorminor.ig.
On the gram. A great college movie is Rudy. It's very inspirational. It kind of, I love it because it's like, he's like not athletic or anything, but like he doesn't have to be. They just love the way he puts in so much effort, so they're like, okay, you can be on the practice team with us. He kind of gets rewarded for like the passion. He's so passionate about playing football for Notre Dame. It's not the typical like boy or girl is bad at sports, trains really hard, becomes good at sports, and then goes and wins. It's like he's bad at sports and he never gets good at sports, but he gets to play on the practice team for Notre Dame anyway, and then he gets to play in an actual game. And it's a true story, so that always helps. But yeah, especially if you're going to Notre Dame, it's an absolute must to watch Rudy, but no matter where you're going to college, it's still a great movie.
I'm gonna do Legally Blonde, which is funny because the first time I watched it, I was technically grounded, and she was just like, come watch TV with me, even though you're not supposed to watch TV. It was great, and I think a lot of people forget that it's a college movie, because it doesn't have like a lot of the typical like college undertones. You have Elle, your protagonist, and she starts off as like, I think she's the president of her sorority. She's a fashion merchandising major who has a 4.0 GPA. She will not let you forget it. And it starts off in a way that may seem problematic, where she is preparing to go on this seemingly huge date with her boyfriend Warner, and he ends up breaking up with her. Because he's gonna go to Harvard, and he feels like she's not the right type of woman for him to be with. So Elle essentially gets into Harvard Law School, not just regular undergrad Harvard, but like Harvard Law School, to follow him and convince him that she's worth loving. And actually, the story ends up being a story about a woman who finds out that she's very smarter than she ever thought she was, and capable of being a lawyer, and doesn't need Warner to validate herself. And she just fell in love, but with another person. And it's definitely one of my favorite movies. Definitely one of my favorite college movies.
Another college movie / not college movie is The Graduate. If you're a film student, you'll probably seen it, and if you haven't, you will see it, and you'll be beat over the head with it.
I low-key love it though.
I haven't watched it in a long time, but it's great.
It's so weird.
It's weird.
It's so weird.
It starts off with a college graduate, and he's like comes home for the summer after he graduates, and sort of in that weird in-between stage of like about to start his life and like just graduating. And he starts having a little affair with
an older woman.
Yeah.
Mrs. Robinson.
A family friend in the neighborhood.
She's married too.
Who's married.
And has a daughter.
That's
important.
That's important. So he starts that whole thing, which I personally think is born out of because he was like bored and at home. Mm-hmm. It gets, it's already a complicated situation, and it becomes more complicated when Mrs. Robinson's daughter becomes involved, who is actually in college at the time. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a college movie.
Mm-hmm. It's for the college age.
Yeah. So I won't summarize the whole thing if you haven't seen it, but it is a good movie for... I'm not saying I hate it. I don't hate it. I think I'd like not liking it because I'm supposed to like it as a film student.
Another great college movie that's a very not well-known movie is called The Computer That Wore Tennis Shoes. It's a Disney movie starring the young Kurt Russell. And basically what happens is this guy at his college, he's at like a very mediocre, I don't know if it's like a mediocre college or just like his group of friends, like his fraternity, I think it is, they like don't really do well in college. But then one day he is like delivering a computer to the school, and that was at the time when computers took up a whole room. Not that that's important really, but basically he like gets like electrocuted kind of, and like all the information from the computer goes into his head. So like he becomes like a walking computer. And
so ridiculous.
It's so good. It's so good. And then he enters like the college knowledge program, which is like a contest between colleges that like their college has never won before because like they don't have enough good students. But then he's like gonna win and everything, and then some complications arise. But yeah, it's a great like kind of silly, fun movie.
So I'm gonna talk about Animal House. My marching band section, low brass section. After every season, we'd watch Animal House. And so for the first time I watched it, I was like a freshman. And pretty much, one, it's like, you know, pretty celebrated. And it was like one of the first like movies to like accurately depict college life, I think. Or at least exaggerate it to that point where they did include a lot of like accurate aspects. But it's set in like the 50s at Faber College. And pretty much this rowdy fraternity, they live in the animal house because they're a bunch of animals, and they have crazy parties, and they drink too much, and they all have like a below a 2.0 GPA, and they end up getting in trouble and getting on double secret probation. So if you've heard anybody say that, like that's a reference to Animal House. And they have like this competing fraternity, which is just like all the really nice, like, not nice, but like jockey white guys. And like the Animal House is kind of just like all like your like middle class other white guys. But it's really funny. It's just genuinely funny, and it's packed full of gags, and it's incredibly inappropriate. It's that kind of exaggeration I think you need to watch to prep yourself for college. In the case that you go to a college like that, because you never know.
Along that same vein, I'll bring up like Revenge of the Nerds.
Yes!
So Revenge of the Nerds was made in like the 80s. And essentially what is it about is like there's this frat house and they like destroyed their house. And so because of that, they were moved into the dormitories, and the guys who were already in the dormitories got like moved out, and so they didn't really have a place.
They're like living in the gym, right?
Yeah, they were living in the gym. So they got this rundown house to live in, and then so those same frat guys were like pretty much like humiliating them and like attacking them and stuff, and so they decided to get revenge, hence the name Revenge of the Nerds.
It's like the biggest prank movie.
Do we talk about Mighty Ducks 3?
Mighty Ducks 3.
I haven't seen D3 in quite a long time. I don't remember too much, but I remember they go to college and there's like a rival hockey team.
Because they were admitted on scholarship, and like because they were the team, like the junior team USA, the school was like, bring them in!
Mm-hmm.
And they had an existing like team already.
Yeah. I remember them like playing pranks on each other or something, but I don't know. If you like Mighty Ducks for its ridiculousness.
Finish up the series. The Social Network, first DVD I ever bought with my money, is about Mark Zuckerberg. So this is about the creation of Facebook, essentially, and it's another college movie, not
it's like,
a college movie.
No, it's a very college movie. I consider that like a very college movie. I feel like that.
Like the first half is very
that movie.
college.
Yeah, I guess. Oh yeah, I guess the second half not as much. But like I feel like that movie like captures the spirit.
Like
of
the beginning 10 minutes is like all of it. It captures a time where like right before Mark Zuckerberg created Facebook at Harvard. It's written by one of my favorite. Yeah, my favorite writer is Aaron Sorkin, who wrote The West Wing and every other great thing. Oh, and Newsroom, if you like some good TV. It starts off like very college, and it shows him, you know, doing this thing like that starts in his dorm room and around, you know, friends, and he's eating like out of a can of tuna in the beginning of the movie, and like some Twizzlers and like a beer. Like I think that's a very honest.
Another college movie would be like Drumline.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Drumline in a very long time.
It's still good.
But back in the day, I watched that movie like a lot. So like the general gist is like this guy goes to college, and he plays the drums, and he's a part of like the school's like drumline team. There's like, you know, competitions and festivals like all about like drumlines and bands. But I like it because it shows a lot about like the friendships of college, and also, doesn't he join a frat?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, there's the perspective of joining a frat. And also like extracurricular in college, and
it's one of the very few like black college experience films.
I can still watch.
Yeah. Like, I wanted to talk about Dear White People. So there's Dear White People, which I think is like, one, it's very watchable, but it's definitely not something that I find myself like being comforted by. Even though the show is great. I'm really excited for the show to come back. But the film itself, which depicts a school with a minority of black students who kind of clicked into, like, have clicked into their own like black clique, and then had sub cliques within the clique of black students at a white majority school, or they felt like they were not being represented within their school, and that they were kind of like cornered into like this one spot in the society of their school, like in the microcosm of their school. And it pretty much escalates from there. But it is a college film, and I think it's one of the more relevant college films, because I think a lot of college films romanticize college. I would definitely recommend the show over the movie.
Along that same line would be like Stomp the Yard, which is another like black college film.
Yeah,
it's about stepping in, being a part of a
black
fraternity.
Real Genius is a great 80s flick about college. It's one of my mom's favorite movies, and it's hilarious. Actually, it's about this 17-year-old kid who gets admitted to school, like college, early. He goes to this like really prestigious school where everybody seems to be really nerdy and really smart and really like STEM oriented. But it proves to be like a little overwhelming for him. He doesn't really quite fit in because he's like obviously younger. And it turns out that like there's like almost like this conspiracy, and that like the school is using the laser research program to build a weapon for the US government, so they can send a satellite into space and then shoot stuff from space into Russia, because, you know, this is like prime Cold War stuff. So these college kids like do some crazy things along the way. Like there are some great, like I feel like underrated iconic scenes that they've really created within the movie. But yeah, Real Genius is definitely like my preference to weird science.
I think that about sums up our list of college films.
And there's some that we didn't mention that you think need to be mentioned.
Please add them in the
comments. Let us know.
Yeah.
If there's like an obscure college movie that we don't know about, please tell us.
Like The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes. It's the best college movie that no one's ever heard of. Yeah. I'm always down to watch an obscure movie. So thank you for watching our college movie list, and we will see you in our next video. Bye!
Also, if you know The Sound of Silence, it's like all throughout the
many a Simon Garfunkel.
Yeah, anything.
Yeah, the
Mrs.
songs
Robinson
were made. So.
Yeah.
Hello, darkness.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
I've come to talk with you.
If we do this,
again.
we're just gonna not stop.
Because a vision softly creeping. Okay,
yeah.
So here's to you, Mrs. Robinson.